Okay, good evening, everyone. Yeah, so welcome once again to the fourth session of the data science program. All right, so we're actually making progress. We started last week, and we've taken us through the introduction of data science and Python. And yesterday we continued with we start with some of this Python concept. We continue with Python concept, right? That we started last week. So today we are going to be moving forward with what we've been looking at so far. All right. So I believe at least we're all getting the hang of what we've been looking at. If you didn't know anything about Python before now, you should at least have an idea of what it is and how to use it. All right. So the recording for yesterday has just been uploaded. So actually it is currently being uploaded on YouTube. So immediately after the class, you can just go to the YouTube channel with the link posted on the Google Classroom and check it out. All right. So for the assignment grading, please, I've said it already that the grades would be made available before on or tomorrow, by tomorrow latest. So if you've not seen yours, even the if you've seen the second assignment grade, yes, you are still going to see your first assignment grade. So by tomorrow, if you don't see your grade, then you can ask in the group chat. All right. So you would all right. So that should settle any questions or concerns regarding that. Okay, so we're going to be going straight into what we have for today. We don't really have much announcement, so because of time, right?
Mr. Emmanuel, can I address the class? All right, good evening, everybody. Now, please pay attention to this. Yesterday, we posted the attendance on the group, and some persons are still complaining. I left the attendance till 7:30. So for those who didn't meet
All
up,
right. So today we're going to be continuing from where we stopped yesterday. All right. So just do a quick recap of what we did yesterday. So can someone just quickly highlight what we talked about yesterday? What did we do yesterday? I think we didn't really do much yesterday. We just completed the Python basics, right? From the last class. That should be arithmetic operations in Python. We looked at um, different arithmetic operation. We looked at division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, modulus, exponentiation, floor division, and increment or decrement operations, right? So we looked at that. And then we moved on to look at string formatting. So we looked at string formatting. So who can, I need someone to just, or anybody, just list out the three methods that we talked about on how to format our strings. What are the three methods that we looked at yesterday? Just quickly on the group chat, drop it. I'll be going just to look at it. I need more answers, please. I need us to respond to this, right? So part of the essence of this class or the live class is to have an interaction. So it's not just I don't necessarily have to be the only one speaking, right? So everyone should participate in the class. So um, answering questions like this is a means of participation, and that is the only way or one of the ways I will know those that are active in my class. And trust me, you won't know when that is going to be useful, because there are sometimes you might have particular issues, and if I see your name, I'll know, oh, this person is actually active, very active in my class, and it will be very easy for you, right? So just see this as an avenue to participate in what we are doing, right? So even if someone has answered it already, just say what you feel like the answer is, right? So nobody is going to do anything, right? So just all right. So I'm seeing answers here. All right. So everybody is probably in tune with what we've been doing so far. So we looked at the three methods of formatting strings. We looked at the F string method. We looked at the format method. We looked at the percentage methods. So out of these three methods, which one did I say is the oldest method? Which one is the oldest method out of these three? Out of format method, F string method, and percent method, which one is the oldest method here? Are you sure? Percent method? All right. All right. So that's actually wonderful. So we actually are following what we've been doing, right? So the answer is correct. So percentage method or percent method is the oldest out of these three, right? And I believe you all know the syntax um for using that particular method. So three of them have their difference in syntax, or their different syntaxes, right? So yeah, today we are going to be jumping into types of operations in Python, right? So as you can see here, string formatting, and you know what string formatting is used for, right? You know the three methods as everybody has highlighted in the group chats. So, quick, let me be sure I'm recording this class. All right, great. So we've looked at the three different methods. Then we'll look at the types of operations. So today we are going to be starting with types of operations in Python, right? So we looked at an operation initially yesterday, which is the arithmetic operation. But for today, we're going to be actually taking a deeper dive into all the types of operations that we have in Python, right? So there are a lot of operations that we have in Python. We're going to take them one after the other and dissect them and look at them individually. All right, so now we've looked at arithmetic operation here. So there's no need to go back to that. We all understand how to use arithmetic operations, right? So the next one here is the comparison operation. Comparison operation. So this operation here is used to compare value of two operands. Understand? This operation is used in comparing the value of two operands. So there are a lot of things, a lot of operations or operations under this comparison operations. So we have equal to, we have not equal to, we have greater than, we have less than, we have greater than or equal to, and we have less than or equal to. So I think this is actually going to take you back to your days in school when the teachers taught us these operations, right? Comparison operations, greater than and less than, and all those things. So today we're going to be looking at how we can implement these things in Python, right? So it's actually very straightforward, just as the numeric, the arithmetic operation, all right? So we're going to be looking at them and how we can actually use them. And yeah, so let's quickly go to our notebook. So we're going to create a new cell here, right? So I'm going to drop this particular notebook that I'm using for the class in case you want to go through it and see some of the things I did. And let's say you want to replicate them. So I will drop this notebook after today's class on Google Classroom. And the material is already there, right? The material that we are following is already there. So you can always go through that. even before the class. So for today, we are going, let me create a markdown cell here. All right, so we're going to be looking at comparison operations in Python. So the first one here is going to be what? Equal to a equal to operation. So it is represented with by this. Let me zoom in so you can see very well. It is represented by double equal to. So this is very important because we already looked at. Okay, we're going to look at that later, but we've been using it already. We've looked at equal to, single equal to. So, but before we go there, I want to know if some of us can remember this. So, what type of operation or operator is this single equal to here? Right? I don't expect us to know that because we've not actually looked at it, but we've been using it all this while, right? So, what type of operator is this single equal to here? Does anybody know? Can anyone give an answer to that? All right, that is actually nice. Exactly. It is called the assignment operator. Like this is lovely. Like we're actually already ahead of this class. So yeah, it is called assignment operator. Right. So its function is to what? Assign a value to what? Help me complete that statement. The function is to assign a value to what? To a variable. Exactly. So this is beautiful. Like I love seeing this interaction and seeing that we are understanding what we've been doing so far. So the assignment, this single equal to operator here is called the assignment operator. Although we are going to look at that later on, right? But we've been using it all this while. So it's called the assignment operator. So that I brought that up because this equal to operation, right, has double equal to. So you don't confuse it with this one. All right. So this has double equal to this one has single equal to. The same thing with the division operator. Division operator has what? Um a single a forward slash, a single forward slash. So which operator or operation has double forward slash based on what we've done so far? Which operation has a double forward slash? Exactly. Floor division. So floor division has a double forward slash. Understand? So these are the things you just need to understand in Python, all these minor differences. So the same thing happens here. The single equal to is for assignment operator, while the double equal to here is for the equal to operation. So let me just put enclose this in a quote. Equal to operation, right? So that's just to just give you an understanding of that. So let's just take all this thing away. So now to use equal to operation is as we have said, it is a comparison operation to use to compare between two values. So if I have variable A, right? A is what? Let's say A is 16, B is what? B is what? 25. So my question now is A variable A equal to variable B? So that's my question. And automatically, as a human being, you can know which one is bigger than which one. And you know that they are not equal to, you know that 25 is not equal to 16. So automatically your answer will be no. Variable A is not equal to what? Variable B. That's how we interpret it using our normal human intelligence. But coming to Python now, this is a computer. So a computer does not understand exactly as we understand. So we have to spell it out for it. So to make this operation, we will now use the equal to operation by saying A and then coming and saying equal to B. So this is the syntax here. Let me zoom in. So this right here is the syntax to compare between two variables. As you can see, we are using this equal to operation here. If I come here and use one equal to, what am I doing? I'm basically assigning B, that is 25, to A. That's what we are doing here. But if I put 2 equal to here, it has changed the whole logic of this operation here. So the meaning of this statement here is A equal to what? B. So remember when I was introducing to us the different data types in Python, I talked about Boolean data type. So who can remind me of that Boolean data type and what are the two types of value that can be a Boolean or that can be assigned as a Boolean data type? So what are the two values that are considered Boolean in Python? All right. Wow. You guys are even like answering before I finish the question. That is actually very impressive. That is nice to see. So that's very great. So I don't need to stress myself so much on explaining that. So we have Boolean data type which can be true or false. So this is the situation where Boolean data types comes into play. So when we make any of this comparison operation, the output is always a Boolean value. Is always a Boolean value. That is it, right? The output is always a Boolean value. It can be either true or what? False. So in this case now, what is going to be the output of this statement, of this operation that we've just written here? What's going to be the output? Exactly. It's going to be false. So if we come here and run this, we're going to see false. As you can see, the output here is what? False. So that is comparison operations. So this is the first example. We have the equal to operation, very straightforward, very simple. So let's assume I just come here and change B to what? 16. Automatically, this output is going to change to true because A is 16, B is 16, and what? 16 is equal to what? 16. So the output we're going to get here now is true. So if we run this, we're going to get what? True. Are we following? Like I believe this is very straightforward. It cannot be more straightforward than this. So this is an example of comparison in Python. So this is how we compare two things in Python, right? Although we are going to build on this, but this is the basic or fundamental way of making comparisons in Python. All right, let's move on. So the next one on our list is what? Not equal to. So one thing I need you to pay attention to are the syntax of the different operations under comparison operations. So for equal to, it is what? Double equal to, right? Not equal to is exclamation mark, and an equal to. So this is the syntax or the operator symbol for not equal to. So let me come here. I've already initialized my A, right? So we'll be using this same A, or let's just initialize it again in case we want to just manipulate it. Let's put A is 34, B is 76. So these are just very random values, right? So if I come here and say A is not equal to B, what is going to be the output? True or false? True or false? Exactly. Exactly. So it is going to be true, right? Because 34 is not equals to what? 76. Very, very straightforward. So I can see that everybody's enjoying this now, right? So this is the basic part of Python. So try to just ensure that you grasp all these things that we are talking about because we are building, right? We are building it's like building a house. We are going to start with the foundation and then start laying the blocks on each side and then taking it up. So these are the fundamentals, these are the basics, the things that will help us to understand the major aspect of Python as relating to data science, right? So let's just move on. So this same thing applies. So if you come here and change this one to 76, and I say A is not equal to B, what am I going to get? I'm going to get false, right? So that's actually very straightforward. So if you do like this, you get true. That is for not equal to. So the next one here should be greater than, right? So we have greater than. So the operator sign or symbol for greater than is what you already know. It is the greater than sign I'm familiar with, right? So right arrow that is pointing, or this arrow that's pointing to the right. So that is what greater than sign looks like, right? So we can have that and we can use it in our comparison. We can come and say A equals to 21, B equals to 21. And I can come and say greater than B. What's going to be the output? So in this particular operation now, what is going to be our output? Exactly. So this is a very simple thing that we all know, right? So this is the way to implement it in Python. So the output here is going to be what? False, because 21 is equal to 21 and 21 is not greater than 21. So if I change this to, let's say, 25, what is going to be the output here? If I change it to B to 25, what's going to be the output? Exactly. Exactly. It is still going to remain false because 21 is what? Not greater than 25. 21 is less than 25. So these are just logical operations, basically, in a sense. So these are the things that we all know and we are all familiar with, right? So moving on, the next one we have here is the less than. So the sign for that is the opposite of greater than, which is this, right? So if I come and say A is 32, B is 21, and I say A less than B, what's going to be the output here? This particular one, now what's going to be the output? A is what? 32 is false, right? Because 32 is greater than 21. So I just want us to get the general idea of how these operations work, right? So it is actually very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. So let's move on. So the next thing here is greater than or equal to, right? Greater than or equal to. So come and say greater than or equal to. So I believe we all know what greater than or equal to mean, but the symbol for that or the syntax for that is greater than and then an equal to following it immediately. So something like this, right? Remember our increment operator where we had plus and equal to, so it's something similar to it, right? So if I come here and just initialize two variables, A is 16, B is what? 13. And I say A is greater than or equal to um 13. Sorry, B. What's going to be the output for this operation, this statement now? Exactly, right? Because A is what? 16, B is 13, and A is both greater than and equal to A is greater than B, right? 16 is greater than 13. You understand? But if we come here and we have 13 here, what is going to be the output again? If we change A to 13, what's going to be our output? Exactly. We're actually going to get true, right? So we're going to get true because 13 is equal to what? 13. You understand? So we are taking it to combine, we are combining two comparisons now, both greater than or equal. So one has to be satisfied. If greater than is not satisfied, then equal to should be satisfied. Right? So that is basically what is greater than or equal to mean in this case. So the same thing goes for um less than or equal to, right? So the syntax for that is basically the less than sign followed by equal to. So, so I believe at this point we've all gotten the gist of what is happening in this comparison, right? So let's say we have 12 here and B we have 13. So we say A is less than or equal to B. We're going to have what? True. We run that because A is 12 and 13 is what? B is 13 and 12 is less than 13. So that's just it about comparison operations. So this is how you use comparison operations in Python. You see, very straightforward, very easy. No too much headache or no complex stuff, right? This is the basics. This is the foundations of what we are going to be doing as we're moving forward. So I need you to understand that. So the next one we're going to be looking at, the next kind of operation we're going to be looking at are the logical operations, right? So logical operations. So let's just go back to it here. So now, logical operations, they are used what to combine conditional statements, right? So logical operations build on these comparison operations that. All right. Sorry for that break in transmission. Let's continue from here. All right. So we're looking at logical operations, right? And we say we have three types of logical operations. We have the AND operation. We have the OR operation. Okay, let me just quickly go there. We have the AND. We have the AND, right? We have the OR, and we have the NOT. Hope everyone can hear me now. Everyone can hear me now. Can everyone hear me? All right, all right. So we have the AND, we have the OR, and we have the NOT. So these are the three different operations under logical operations. So let's just look at them one after the other. And I said that the ones that you'll be using most often are and OR, right? So the NOT is not like you won't use it at all, but it's actually very rare. The use case is rare compared to these other ones here. So, but let's look at how we can use them in Python, right? So the AND operation, right? Basically, the syntax is what and this is the syntax here, right? Just type AND. So the AND, the logical operation basically combines two. They mostly combine two comparison operations. What do I mean by that? So let's say I have A to be what? 3. Or let's say 30. B to be what? 20. And C to be what? 56. Right? I can make comparison between these three variables. Right? So I want to compare if A is greater than B and A is greater than C. So if I want to do this kind of comparison, it might be difficult for me to do it in one line, right? It is not so straightforward as we've been doing before. So to do that, we have to use the logical operations like the AND. So in this case, I'm going to come and say A is greater than B and, right? And sorry, A is greater than C. So this is the logical operation used in a statement, in a Python statement. So we have a combination of two comparison operations. We have this first one here, and we have the second one on the right hand side. And we have the logical operation and combining both of them. So what does this statement execute? Before I give you the output, like what do you think will be the output for this particular statement? We are too smart in this group. Like I think you guys are pretending not to know all these things, not to know Python. So basically, you got it right. So if we run this, we're going to get false. Why? Because the AND statement basically ensures that these two operations or comparison is both of them are true. They have to be true for the general statement to what be true, right? So Python will execute this one first. If it is true, it will keep it. It will now execute the second one. If it is true, then it will now say that, okay, this particular statement is true, right? Why it is false here is because this second statement here, A is equals to C, is false. What's A? A is what? 30, right? And C is what? 56. So obviously 30 is not greater than 56. So this statement will be false. So as long as one statement in your AND operation is false, the entire statement is false. That is just what AND operation does. Understand? It executes the two statements and ensure that both of them are true before it gives you an output of true. I hope you understand that. So let's check again. Let me just do some change. If I say A is equals to B and A is less than or equals to C. So what's going to be the output of this particular statement now? Exactly. It will still be false, right? It will actually be false. So now I understand some of you are like executing the two different operations separately. No, the final output should be one Boolean value, whether true or false. So as I've explained before, the way to know if the final value is true or false is to compare the Boolean value of these two statements. If the Boolean value of these two statements are true, then the final Boolean statement will be true. But if at least one of them is false, then the final Boolean value will be false, right? So let me just quickly show us how that is. So in this particular and, true plus true is equals to what? True. These are the things that we did while in school. So I'm just going to refresh our memory on that. So false plus true is equal to what? What's going to be the output here? False plus true is equals to what? Exactly, equals to false. Same thing here. True plus false equals to what? False. And what? False plus false equals to false. So this is what you follow basically, right? This is let me spell this correctly. So come and say false. So this is what you follow when executing this. This is what Python follows when executing this AND statement. You understand? So this is what it follows. This is the rule that it follows, right? So that is for AND. Now let's look at OR operator. So we have the OR operator. OR operator. So the okay, and just know that the AND here it should be small letter, not capital letter. So the OR operator is basically quite different from the AND operator. So let's initialize our variable. Let's say 12, B is what? 13, C is what? 24. So if I come here and say A is what? Greater than B, or A is greater than C, what's going to be the output of this statement now? This is going to be false. Exactly. It's going to be false, right? Because let me just come here and give us the formula. So in OR operation, true plus true is equals to what? True. False plus true is equals to what? True. True plus false is equals to what? True. And the last one is what? False plus false equal to what? What's going to be the output? False. So you can see that this one is basically the opposite of AND. In AND, we have three false and one true. While in OR, we have three true and one false. You understand? So as long as there is a truth statement in any of this comparison, then the final output will be true. You understand? So that is what OR mean. It executes this one. Oh, this one is false. Okay, let me look at the other one. It now executes this other one. This other one is true. It will now give you the final output to be what? True. You understand? So that is, say if I execute this now, I'm going to get false, right? Because both of them are what? False, false, to give us false. If I come here and change this to less than, it's going to give us what? It's going to give us true, right? Because this one is false, while this one is what? True. So the formula here, false plus true is equals to true. So this is just how you this is basically how you go about using and or. Are we following? Is everybody following now? Can you hear me loud and clear? Let me get responses in the class. All right. All right. So now let's look at the last one under logical operations. So we've talked about and we've talked about or. So the last one here is the not operation. So I said something about this, that you might not necessarily have a need for this so much, right? And but you still have to know it nonetheless. So what the not operation does is that it basically inverts the output, right? It inverts the output that you're supposed to get. It inverts the truth value of a condition. That's actually the main definition, right? It inverts what you are supposed to get. So if I come here and say, let me just use numbers straight. 5 is greater than 6. It will be what? False. But if I come here and put not, it's going to be true. That's basically what not does, right? It inverts the truth statement of an operation. You understand? So if I come here and say 5 is equal to what? 6. We all know 5 is not equal to 6, so it's supposed to be false. But if I run it, it will give me true, right? Because it is inverting the output you're supposed to get. So that is what the not operation does. You understand? So just keep that in mind. So that is it for logical operations. So we basically looked at two operations. We looked at comparison operations now, and we've also looked at logical operations. So for comparison operation, we looked at the greater than, less than, equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. For logical operation, we looked at and operation, we looked at or operation, and we also looked at not operation. So the next on our list now is the assignment operation. So I'm not going to actually dwell much on this because we've already done it already. So we'll be moving straight to the next one. So what we have here is the assignment operation. So the assignment operation is what we've been using so far, right? Is the single equal to. And what does it do? It assigns a value to a variable, right? It assigns a value to a variable. That's basically what it does, right? So, and as we looked at yesterday, we have these other compound operations, which we said they were increment and decrement operations. You understand? So, these are the other assignment operations that we have, right? So, we're not going to go into that because we've already looked at it already. So, the next one here is membership operations. So we're going to look at membership operations. So this is going to be interesting, right? So let's quickly look at that. So what exactly is membership operation? So let me come back here. All right, membership operations. We have two types. We have the not, sorry, in and not in. So we have two of them. So make sure you understand or you know the different types of operations we have under each of these operations. So in this one, we have in operation, in operation. So one thing you need to know about membership operation is that unlike all these ones we've been doing before, right? Although let's not just go there. Membership operations operates or uses lists, sequences, basically sequences. So we use sequences like list, set, tuple, right? To in this particular operation that we're going to be looking at, right? So if you want to know if a particular item is in a sequence or is in a list, let me just use list so you understand exactly what I'm saying. If you want to know if something is in a list, then you use the membership operation for that. So let's just give an example to illustrate what I'm saying. Let's assume we have a list of names. We have names, right? Well, let's start with numbers. Numbers. So I come here and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? So this is a list. You understand? So a quick one. These different data types we talk about that has multiple values inside them, they are called sequences. Sequences. So example is like string. We have list. We have tuple. Can everyone still hear me clearly? Okay, great. So we have string, we have list, we have tuple, and what's the last one? Someone said you can see my screen. Let me sure that everything is going all right. Okay, all right. So let's just continue. So as I was saying, we're looking at different sequences in Python, right? Because this membership operation is performed mostly on sequences, right? So we looked at string is a sequence, we looked at list, and we looked at tuple. So I know you might be tempted to say um, set is a sequence. Basically, set is like a sequence, right? You can actually use membership operation on set, but set is technically not a sequence. Why? Because a sequence is something that is ordered. Like you go from one to two to three to four. So there's a sequence to it. And remember, I told you that a set is an unordered collection, right? It is unordered. So you can't actually consider it to be a sequence. Are we following? Exactly. So that is exactly what sets are. So sets are technically not sequences, basically, but you can still use the membership operations for it. So I'm just trying to like give you this sequence as a general concept that you can use to just categorize some of these data types, right? So let's just look at one of them. So we have this variable here. Also, this variable is a list, right? And we want to like use the membership operation in to know if a particular number is in this list. So to do that, the syntax is just simple. Let's assume we want to check. Let's assume we have a very long list, like a list of 1,000 numbers, random numbers. Right? So we can actually start going individually to every single item in that list or sequence, right? So we can just easily use the membership operator. So each of the item here is a member. One is a member, two is a member, three is a member, four is a member. So if I come and say 5 in norms, this statement here is the syntax for performing membership operation using the in operation. So what I'm going to get here is a Boolean value too. I'm going to get a Boolean value, either true or false. So in this case now, what output am I going to get? In this particular case, I'm asking Python, is 5 in norms variable? So I've created a num variable here. So I want to know if 5 is in this particular variable. So what is going to be the output? So this is a very, very obvious answer, right? It is true. 5 is in norms. So if I run this, I'm going to get true, right? Okay, let me just come here and now remove 5. Remove 5. I'm going to get false. So you can see how we use this particular in operator here to check for membership, right? So we can just easily use it to check if a particular stuff is inside a list, right? So let's just look at the other ones here. So um Now let's just put set here, sure. Let's put set here. So let's create a name, names, and come here. We use a tuple and say Ibrahim, do have Jennifer, and have let's say Gina, have Taiwo, and have Shegun, right? You can have James, and have Henry. So let's just stop here. So basically, we've created a tuple, right, of names, and now we are being asked to check if a particular name is in this particular tuple or this particular sequence. So the way to do it in Python is to use this membership operation in, right? So we can just come here and say, let's say we are asked to check if Emmanuel is in names. We can come and say Emmanuel, and we're going to say in what? Names. So if I run this, I'm going to get what? I'm going to get false, because what happens that it went through all the items in this list. Python here, while executing this statement, it will go through all the items here and compare Emmanuel with them individually, right? When it goes through all of them and you do not see any item that is identical to it, then it's going to give us false. Understand? So if I come here and I change it to, let's say, Shegun is in names, right? I'll just run it. I'm going to get what? True. So this is basically how you use the membership operation. So it's just to check or to know if a particular item is a member of a particular list or sequence or whatever it is that you want to check with, right? So that's basically how you do it. So you can try it with other so let's try with string. So for string, we can say string value. So we can say Python, right? So remember that strings are actually indexed. So each of the letter in that string have an index. So we can actually come and say P in string val, we're going to get false. Why? Why? Can someone tell me why we're getting false here in this particular statement? We are checking if letter P is in this particular variable. So can someone tell me why we are getting false? Are we not supposed to get true since P is here? Exactly. Exactly. So this, I just wanted to point this out so you understand that Python is what? Case sensitive, right? So in this case, the P here is capital letter. Why in this place, in this statement, P is what? Small letter. So we have to ensure that the casing is identical to the case that we are looking for in this place. So if I come here and change it to capital letter and I run it, what am I going to get? I'm going to get true. Do we understand? Are we actually following at this point? So this is membership operation in Python. So this is membership operation in Python. You understand? So let's try to use two other examples. Let's use the set and dictionary. So you can actually also do it for set and dictionary. So we can say, let's change this particular one here. This list to a set. You can just do that simply by changing the parentheses to this curly brackets. So we can come and now ask this question, right? Is Shegu in names to give us what true, right? So you can see I can also perform membership operation using set. So now for dictionary, it is quite different, right? Membership operation on dictionaries. So let's just quickly look at how we can do that in dictionary or how it works. So let me come and say my dict. Let's put a dictionary variable. I'll come and just say name. Let's say okay, let's say Shegun. I don't know why I like the Shegun name, but all right. So I have age. Yeah, I have the age to be, let's say 26, right? And we have let's say country to be, let's say Nigeria. I will come down here. Let's come down here first, right? Come down here and see state of origin, state, let's say Lagos state. So this is our dictionary basically. We've created a dictionary. So in this dictionary now, we have two things involved. So this name, what do we call this name? And what do we call this thing here? Right? Remember, I explained what the dictionary is. So we have this name, country, state, and age. They are called something in a dictionary. What are they called? What's the name given to it? Exactly, key and what value. So these are key value pairs. So if you want to use the membership operation in a dictionary, what Python looks for is actually the key. You understand? So if I come here and say name in my dict, you see I'm going to get true, right? So it looks at the keys when using the membership operation on a dictionary. It does not look at the value. It does not look at the value, look at the keys. So if I come here and say, let's say occupation. So we want to check if occupation is in this dictionary. We'll run this and we're going to get false, right? Because it checked this occupation and compared it with all the keys in the dictionary: name, age, country, state. All of them are false. They're not the same thing. That means there is no occupation in my dict, and it's not give us what? False, right? So if we add occupation here, let's come here and say occupation, and let's say data scientists, right? Okay. Why is this not closing? Okay. All right. So if I come here and add occupation, you will see that when I run this, I'm going to get what? True. Because occupation now is in my dictionary. So this is just the idea behind membership operation. So the other membership operation we have is not in. So that is the opposite of in. So if I come here and say occupation not in, right, my dictionary is going to give me what? False. So that is the idea behind it. You can just apply it to all the other ones we've done here. You can come and say Shegun not in names, right? P not in string val, 5 not in nums. So it reverses the logic that we used initially, right? So that's just how you use membership operation in Python. You understand? So these sequences, don't let it confuse you. I'm talking about anything that has multiple members in it. So it can be a list, tuple, set, string, or what? Dictionary, right? So let's just comment it. Okay, we've already said string initially. So these are the data types you can perform membership operations on. So let's just move on to the next one. So we've looked at um, comparison operations, we've looked at logical operations, we've looked at assignments, we've looked at membership. Now we're going to look at identity. So this identity operation is, you might not even use it at all, right? But it's still essential that you understand how it works. So identity operation, it is used to compare the memory locations of two objects, right? So we have two of them. We have is and we have is not. So this is, I'm just going to explain how to use that. So we'll come here and say um identity operation, and then we'll come here. All right, hope we are all still following and we can see my screen clearly. All right, great. Okay, so we are basically just going to illustrate this very quickly. This identity operation is not, you are basically not going to use it as often as you use other operations. But what it does is that it compares the memory location of two objects in Python. So I don't think I've told us what an object is. So in Python, everything is an object. Every single thing is an object. A variable, anything you are doing is an object, right? This particular variable here is an object, right? This string here is an object. This integer is an object. So almost everything in Python is an object. So whenever I say object, just understand that we are just using a general language for all these things, right? So you can use it. You can use identity operation to compare the memory locations of two objects. So let's assume we have variable a, 1, 2, 3, and we have b, and we assign b to a to b, and we come and say c is equal to what? 1, 2, 3. Now, remember I taught us the comparison operation, but I think I didn't show us how we can use it to compare lists. We can actually compare lists with our equal to, right? So we can come and say A is equal to C to give us true, because each of the elements there are equal to each. If I change this element here to give us false, right? So I just want to just flesh that out. So now we have these three variables, right? Now, if I say A is equals to C, I'm going to get true. But if I say A is C, I'm going to get false. This is the difference between the comparison operation and this identity operation. Identity is different from comparison. Comparison checks the content of the object or the variables, while identity checks the memory location of this object. So that's why I said this one might not necessarily be so useful for you, but I just said you still need to learn it either ways. So this checks the memory location. Basically, when you define a variable in Python, obviously you are working on your computer. Everything you are doing is stored in your hard drive or your RAM or any storage, your computer storage, basically, right? So your variable, this A variable is stored in your computer storage memory. B is stored in your computer memory. C is stored in your computer memory. So what identity operation does is to compare the memory location of these different variables. So whenever you get true, true means that those objects, they're actually stored in the same place. They're actually the same thing. You are referring to the same location in your computer memory. But when you get false, that means the two objects, they are not in the same particular location in your computer memory. You understand? So that's why you have this A. A is a list that has 1, 2, 3. While C is what? The same 1, 2, 3. So you might imagine that, okay, these are the same thing. Now, when I use this identity operation, it should give me true. But no, they are stored differently in different places in your computer memory. That's why we have false here. But when we use the equal to sign, we're going to get true, because this doesn't check for storage location in your computer memory. It just checks the content, right? Or it checks 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the same thing. But if we use is doesn't check the content. It checks where it is located in memory. So there are some things you'll be doing as a programmer that it will require you to actually use this particular operation. So you can just debug some things and just there are cases where you use it actually, right? But it's not as common as you use other operations. So this is just basically what identity operation is. So I hope we've gotten that. So we've looked at all operations now. We've looked at okay, let's see. We've looked at arithmetic operations. We've looked at comparison operations. We've looked at logical operation. We've looked at assignment operation. We've looked at membership operation, and we've looked at identity operation. So by now you should have gotten an idea of all these operations and how they work and how they can be implemented in Python. So as you can see, Python is easy, right? Although we are starting, but you can see that the entrance into the Python programming is actually very easy. So these are the building blocks. If you can understand all these things very well, trust me, the more advanced things you are going to be learning will be easy for you. That's why I'm taking my time to ensure that I break them down for you to understand. Because I believe most of us here are beginners and we've not actually written any code before, right? So that is it for operations we have in Python. So what we're going to be looking at next today is conditional statement. We're going to be looking at conditional statements. Now, so this is another very important concept, right? If you look at code that people are writing, maybe on the internet or maybe you are just browsing and you see someone post their code on this on their computer code. Most of the time, if you look at that code, most of that code are conditional statements, right? They are mostly conditional statements. So because the conditional statement is very, very versatile, you use it almost everywhere while writing your code. So now I'm just going to quickly explain what it is, and then we go straight to showing you how we can write conditional statements in Python. So we're going to do a conceptual overview to give you an understanding of it, and then we're going to go over to the implementation aspect. Right. So now we all know what conditions mean, right? Normally, we know that if something is happening or if you are hungry, then you will eat. If the sky is dark, then rain will fall. If this is this, then this will happen. That is the idea behind conditions, right? That is what conditions means. If something is this, or if this particular thing is, if something is in a particular state, right, then this thing will happen. You understand? So if I am sick, then I'll go to the hospital. Right? So you can actually give an example of a lot of conditional statement that guides you in your decision making as a human being. So the same way we use these conditions to make decisions is the same way we can use these conditions to make decision too in Python or carry out an action. So most of the actions we carry out as human beings are actually based on a condition. You understand? So if you are hungry, then you eat. Eating is the action. The condition is what? Hunger. You understand? So if you are sick, then you go to the hospital. The action is what? Going to the hospital. The condition is what? Being sick. So you can now understand the application of conditional statement, although sometimes you don't actually think through it. You don't actually you don't actually bring it to you don't actually know that this is how you are making this decision, but basically our brain has been wired to act based on conditions automatically. So in Python, we are going to actually be using these conditions too. So these are logical statements. These are the things that you'll be doing most of the time, right? So that's why I said most of the code that you'll be writing, they'll be replaced, they'll be filled with conditional statements. So that is why you need to understand this concept that I'll be introducing today very well. Understand? So let's just quickly look at this. So conditional statements in Python are a fundamental part of controlling flow of execution, right? So you want to be able to ensure that before something is executed, it has to meet this condition. So it's a way of controlling what happens in your code. You understand? You don't just want your code to be behaving anyhow. You want to make it organized that, okay, if A is equals to B, then this. If A is greater than this, then this. So there are a lot of conditions that you can actually come up with based on what you want to do, right? So they allow program to execute certain blocks of code based on specific conditions, making decisions based on data and inputs available. So that I think that is enough to give you an idea of what conditional statements are. So now the question is, how do we implement this in Python? How do we actually write this code in Python? So in Python, we have um, types of conditional statements. We have basically three types. We have the if statement, we have the if else statement, and we have the if else statement. So now you can see that we are now moving higher and higher into Python. So I want us to concentrate now to try to follow up with what I'll be explaining, right? So let me go again. The conditional statements in Python are divided into three basically, right? We have the if statement, we have the if else statement, and we have the if else statement, right? So these are the basic conditional statements we have in Python, and this is what you'll be using most of the time, right? So let's just look at them and look at how we can use conditional statements in Python, right? So let's quickly open up our code book or code notes. So I'm going to come here and all right. So hope everyone is still following. Hope we are still following. Just give me a reaction in the group to know if you are still following. All right. Okay. All right. Let's come here and see. Conditional statement. Okay. So we have the if statement. If statement. All right. So we're now going to be looking at the syntax of the if statement. Right? We're going to be looking at the syntax. How do we write an if statement? So remember I introduced or I told us about indentation in Python last week. Now we are going to now see how to use the indentation, although you see how the indentation comes into play, right? Because now we're not going to be writing blocks of code. Before we just be writing one line of code. Now we're not going to be branching out to be writing blocks of code, more than a line of code, right? So now to use or to implement an if statement is very straightforward, actually. Very, very straightforward. What you do is just start with writing if. You can see that Jupyter Notebook have automatically highlighted it to be green. So anything that is highlighted here is what we call a Python keyword. So let me just write it. This one is just by the way, it's called Python keywords. So these are actually, you can see the same thing here. This was highlighted green. Is a Python keyword. So Python can automatically detect it. So this not in. So all these things are Python keywords. So once you type, Python will know, oh, this person wants to use this particular thing, right? So you start by writing if, and then followed by your condition, the condition that you want to specify, followed by your I've forgotten what the symbol is again, right? But followed by your colon, yeah, colon, right? Then after you do this, you now click enter. You understand? On your keyboard. So it automatically indents your code for you. So Jupyter Notebook automatically indents your code. You don't need to do the indentation manually, right? So you don't need to think about it. So once you write your if and your condition, and then you put your colon, right? Just press enter. It will take you to the next line, and this line is where you are now going to specify the action that will be taken if this condition is met. So let's say if this condition is true, then you now print the condition is what met. Understand? So now this is the action. Let's come here. This is the action to take, and this upper code here, what is the condition to be met. You understand? So this is the syntax for writing your if statement. So now let's write an actual if statement. You understand? So we're going to come here and let's comment this one out. So now we'll start by saying if 3 is greater than 5, put your colon, enter. I'll now say print the statement is what? True. So if I run this, you can see that nothing is appearing on my screen in the output. I'm not seeing any output. Why? Can someone tell me why I'm not seeing any output? Because I indicated that it should print this thing, but it's not printing it out. Why? I need answers, please. Why do you think this action here was not executed? Exactly. The condition was not met. What is the condition here? The condition is this, what we have here, 3 greater than 5. So this condition up here must be true. It must be true. For it to be, for this condition to be satisfied, it must be true. So if it is false, this statement here will not be executed. This action will not be taken. That is what conditional statement is. But if I come here now and I change this thing to, let's say, less than, and I said if 3 is less than 5, then print the statement what is true. If I run it, you see that it has printed it out for me. Why? Because the condition was met. So this is the logic. This is the simple logic with conditional statement in Python. So for anything here below your conditional, your condition to be executed here, the condition up here have to be what? True. Do you understand? That is basically what an if statement is. So if I come here and say if 3 is less than 5, and okay, let me even specify a variable self. Come and say a equal to 4, b equal to 6, and c equal to 10. I can come and say if a is less than b and a is greater than c. So what is going to be the output? Like, am I going to get this output printed or not? Based on these conditions up here. Let me run it and see. You can see that we will have nothing printed because this entire statement here is what? False. That's why I told you that what we're looking at the other time, the comparison operations and the logical operations, they are building blocks of what we are going to be looking at in the more advanced Python concept. So you need to understand all those things so we move forward smoothly and you don't have any problem at all. So this is exactly what we were talking about before. This entire statement has to be true for this action to be taken. Now that this statement was executed and it was false, this action will not be taken. Remember, I told you about the conditions that we have in our real life. So let's say if you are hungry, then you eat, right? So it is only when you are hungry that you are going to eat. Basically, most of the time, or realistically, I know that sometimes we just eat, right, for the sake of eating. But we know that the condition up has to be satisfied, right? So if we are not hungry, then we are not going to eat. So that statement up has to be true. It has to be satisfied before the action is taken, right? If you are sick, you go to the hospital most of the times, right? So these are actually just not perfect examples, right? There are exceptions to it, but you understand what exactly I'm saying. So let's just move on. Let's move on. Now we have this, you understand how to use an if statement, basically. So this is an if statement. Now let's look at the next conditional statement we have. Right, let's come here and create this and say if else statement. But before we go to this if else statement, I just want to give another example so it drives the idea home. So let's use another example. Let's use membership operation. So now let's create a list. I'm going to create a list. Let's come here and copy this list, name list we created before. I'm going to go down and paste it here. Let's make it a list, right? So it's easier for us to work with. So now I want to perform an action based on a condition. I can come here and say, if Shegun is in names, then print Shegun is in what name? Sorry, this should be a string. So Shegun is okay, yeah, is in names, right? So this is my if statement, right? This is my if statement. So this part is the what condition, and the down part is what the action. So I can specify any action that I want to take here, right? It is left for me. So any action that I want to be executed, I can just change it, right? But in this case, I want the action that would happen is printing that Shegun is in names. So if I run this particular code here, it's going to okay. What exactly is okay? Sorry. In name, rather. Sometimes we just use English language. This is Python. So we'll run this and we are going to get this output printed here, right? So the reason why this thing was printed out was because this condition up here was true. And Python checked this list, this variable list, which is names, right? And it checks Shegun, right? And he went through it and said that, oh, Shegun is here. Okay, this is true. Then to now go over to the next line and say print or perform this action that is here. So it might not even be Shegun. I'll just say, I can put anything here basically, right? I can just specify any action I want to, any action I want here. I can even come and say true, print true, right? It will give me true, print true, right? That means Shegun is a name. So this is just an example of how we can use membership operator together with if statement. So let's move on to the next one that we have here. So we have if else statement. If else statement. So this is a more an extension of our if statement, right? An extension of our if statement. So remember our if statement, we just say if something is this, then this should happen, right? But for if else statement, you cannot specify an action that will be taken if the condition was not met. What do I mean by that? Let me bring this down. Let me bring this here, right? I'm going to put this. But wait, let me first use this particular one here. Okay, so I'm going to use this example here. So we already know the if. Let me remove this so it will understand it better. So we've already written our if statement now. Now, what does else mean here is that after this particular block of code has been executed and the statement is not true, then we'll now come here. So the syntax for that is writing else. Now, remember, just notice what I did now. I did not continue writing else here from here, right? You can see Jupyter Notebook automatically even pushes it inside for me, right? So because he understands Python syntax. So I did not write else here, like after print. I have to go back to the beginning of the line to write else. Why? Because anything that is under this particular indentation here is under if, right? So to go away or to escape this particular code block or this if statement, I have to start from the beginning and say else, and then put my colon, and then press enter, click enter, and it will indent it for me now. So you can see how the indentation now is working in Python. So it is using the indentation to just organize our code. So I will now say else print the statement is not true, or the statement is false. So remember in this first example that when we run this thing and this is not true, nothing will be printed, right? But in if else statement, no matter what happens, even if it is true or false, you are always going to get an output. You understand? You're always going to get an output. So in this case now, can someone tell me which particular print statement will be executed? Is it the first one or the second one? Is it the first print statement that will be executed here, or the second print statement that will be executed? Exactly. So those are said first. You are very, very correct. So the first statement will be executed. Why? Because this if statement is true. So as long as this if statement is true, this one will be executed and the entire process will stop. It is not going to go over to this else statement and print anything else. The only time this else statement will be printed or executed is when this if statement is not true. Right, so let's run this and see what it's going to give us. You can see now that the output is what? This statement is true, right? This statement is true. So let's change it here. Let's change this condition to this and run it. You see that it printed the statement is what? False, right? And this is under the else statement. Are we following at this point? So this is basically what the if else statement is. So no matter what the condition gives you, whether true or false, you always get an output, whether from the if statement or from the else statement. So this is a very simple conditional statement. So as you are moving on in Python, you are going to be using or doing more complex conditions and also complex action, right? So this is just a very simple one. So if you can understand this, trust me, any other thing that comes, you would understand it. Understand? So I'm definitely going to give you an assignment, so to test you on everything we did today. So it's going to be an avenue for you to practice and just to try your hand on the different things. So this particular notebook I used in this class for all these examples, I'm going to make it available in Google Classroom, so you can also go through it and just see exactly the examples that we used in class, right? I hope that is good. So now okay, let's quickly give another example before we go to that one. So I'm going to come here and use this membership operation again, right? So I'm going to come here and say membership operation. So now, remember this condition is if Shegun is in names, what? Then print, you can say, yes, Shegun is in name, right? I will now come here and say, what if Shegun is not now in name? Okay, else I'll say print Shegun is not in what? Names. So this is actually very, very easy, right? So let's just print that and see it. So if I run this, you can see, okay, this is for the first statement. So I'm really going to come here and say print. All right. So this is the output here. Yes, Shegun is in name. You understand? So it is telling us that yes, Shegun is in name. Let me change. If I change this, let me see. Let me use it. You will now see the importance of variable. Let me just initialize a variable. Let's say name. I can change the name to, let's say, Emmanuel. I'll come here and put name instead of the name like that. I'm coming and put name. So I'll use F strings formatting, the one we looked at yesterday, right? So you can see the importance of string formatting now. So if you follow keenly, you understand exactly what I am doing. Name. All right. So what I just did now is to make this output to be dynamic. So if I change it here, then it's going to change everything in this statement. So now I'm looking at Emmanuel. So if I run it, you can see that it's telling me, oh, Emmanuel is not in names, right? So because of the name I'm putting as Emmanuel, let me put another one. Let me put Ibrahim, right? If I run this, I'm going to see it said, yes, Ibrahim is in names. You understand? So you can see how this if statement is making our flow organized and easy. So now we've combined a lot of things. We've combined string formatting here. We've combined conditional statement. We've combined variable assignment, and we've combined if-else statement all in one code. So you can see how everything is building up. So that's why you need to understand them bit by bit, right? So that's why you should not get confused on what I just did here right now. Right? What I just did here is string formatting. String formatting. I included the name variable here, right, that I initialized in this place. So if I change it here, it's going to reflect in this place, in these two print statements, right? So I hope we're all following. So this is it for if else statement. So the last one we are going to look for today is if elif else statement. All right. Hope we are following. I need responses in the group chat. Hope everyone is following. Hope everyone is following before we proceed. Someone said yes, but Henry, what is but there? Why did you put but? All right, I understand that initially it might look overwhelming, but trust me, it's very easy. It's very once you start doing it yourself, you find out that it is very, very easy. Right. So let's just continue. Let's continue. The recording will be made available, so you can always go back to it and just refresh your memory and get cleared on what you are not understanding. All right. So the last one here is if, elif, else statement. Now you see that we started from if, we move to if else, and now we are going to if, elif, and else. So now the three statements in one, right? So the syntax for that is actually very simple, as it's almost the same thing with the other ones we have here, right? So to use that, we are going to just come here and copy this statement here, paste it here. Now this is our if else statement, right? We just have if and else. But what if we want to actually check more than one condition? We want to check multiple conditions in the same if statement. We want to check multiple conditions. We now have to include elif. That is what elif mean, right? So elif would help you to make multiple comparisons or check multiple conditions, right? And perform an action if it is true. So if I come here and say if A is greater than B, print A is greater than B, right? I can come here and now use string formatting. So I'll come and say A is greater than what? B, right? So I'll come here and now say elif A is less than B. I'll now come and say copy this print statement. I'll now say A is what? Less than B. And then I'll now put this come back here and just print whatever it is you want to print at the end here. You understand? So what happens here is that Python goes through these multiple conditions here. So we have one condition here, we have another condition here. So this is what the elif statement means. It introduces a new condition to the code or to your statement, your if statement. I can actually add more. I can come here and say elif again, elif C is equals A is greater than C, greater than C, and then come here and say print this. A is what? Greater than what? C, right? So you can see now we have multiple conditions. So that is what the elif statement brings into this equation. So before we had just if, like just one condition. We now introduce else, if else. So if this if is not true, then this else will be executed. So we now even introduce another one, which is elif. So if this one is not true, it will now check this next one. If it is not true, it will check this next one. If the next one is not true, then it will now execute this else, right? But if it checks this first one, and if this first one is true, then it will stop. But if it checks the first one is not true, and it comes to the second one and checks the second one, and the second one is true, then it stops the entire process. So that is basically how this particular code will be executed. Do you understand? So let's just move on and see how that will work. So in this case now, can someone tell me, based on these variables, which particular portion of this code will be executed first, second, or third, or fourth? First, second, third, or fourth, which one will be executed? Just look at it. Wow. I think we are secretly Python experts. We are just hiding because we are literally just acing all the answers, right? That's actually very wonderful. So let's just look at it. I'm not going to say anything, but just let's look at the output to see which one will be printed, right? So let's run this code. you can see now that it is the second one that is printed out. So let me just come here and say first condition, so you understand it. Second condition, can come here and say third condition. So this is basically, you can see now, it is the second condition that was printed. So the second one, right? So you can see the second one is what, 4 is less than 6. So once it gets to a particular condition that is true, it stops the entire process and it just gives you the output. You understand? So that is it. So let's just try and tweak this to make it false. So in this case now, which one will be printed? So okay, I can come here and say none of the statements, none of the condition is true. So I'll say else. Okay. So in this case now, which particular conditional statement or which condition here will be executed? Are you saying the last one because I just edited it now? Or are you sure you're actually checking it to see why it will be executed? All right. Anyways, you are correct. So the last statement will be executed because none of these statements here are true. So if we execute this, you can see that it will print out the last statement, which is none of the condition is what? True. So can we see how beautiful conditional statements are? Right? You can actually tweak it. You can actually use it for almost anything in Python, basically. So if you want to perform an action and you want some conditions to be met, you would use conditional statements. And these are conditional statements in Python. If else, if else statement. So this is just how to do it. So this is basically where we'll be stopping today. But before we wrap up, I just want to show us some things that we can do. So all this while I've just been saying print. So there are actually different actions that you can take if a condition is met. So let's bring out this particular one, which is names now, right? So let's just bring it out. Put it here, right? So now what we want to check is name. So your name now is, let's say, Emmanuel, right? I want to check if Emmanuel is in this list. If name is, this variable name is in name. So I will say if name in names, then there is something that we can do aside printing, right? I told you that if statement is actually there to help us perform actions based on a condition. So if Emmanuel is in this list, then we can just print use f string. So you can see that I'm always using f string formatting method because it's actually the most straightforward method. So you can see how we are implementing it in different aspects of our code. So I'll just come and say name is in the list, right? Straightforward. But if Emmanuel is not in our list, then what are we going to do? Else we are now going to add Emmanuel to the list. So are you seeing the flow now? Right? We don't just want to print that Emmanuel is not in the list, but we want to perform an action. So we now want to add Emmanuel to the list. And to add Emmanuel to this list, there's a function that we can use, although we're going to look at that very well in the subsequent classes, right? In the subsequent class next week. But I just want to show you this because it's probably going to be part of your assignment. So if Emmanuel is not in the list, then we can now append Emmanuel to list. So you remember I told you everything is an object. So this list is an object. So this object has different functions, right? List has different functions. Dictionary has different functionalities, as well as string and the rest, right? So we can actually add a new item to an existing list by using what we call append. So to use append, we can just call our list and say names dot append, right? And then it always comes with a bracket. And then we put what we want to append. What we want to append here is what? Emmanuel. That is the name. So we can now come here and say print our new list. So I'm not going to print the new list. We will now see that Emmanuel has been added. So this is the kind of situation you'd use your if statement. You understand? This is the situation that you'd use if statement. So if I print this out, you see I'm going to get Ibrahim, Abdul, Jennifer, Iken, Taiwo, Shagun, James, Henry, and I'm now having what? Emmanuel. Do you understand? Right, let me even come here. First print, let me print the names before appending. You can see this is the names before appending. I can come here and say, all right, so let me not just use that, but these are the names before appending, and these are the names after appending. Do you understand? So let's say I change this name now to Taiwo. Taiwo is already on the list, right? So what output am I going to get here? Can someone just quickly tell me what output are we going to get here? Are we all following? What output are we going to get based on what we've said so far? Exactly. Who said that? Marcellinus. You got it. Adams, Marcellinus, you and Jennifer. Taiwo is in the list. He's going to print, he's going to execute this statement because what? This condition is what? True. So this else statement will not be executed. This else statement will be executed only when this particular condition is not true. So if I run this, you see that the output here is what? Taiwo is in the list. So there's no need to add Taiwo to the list, right? There's no need to, because Taiwo is already in the list, right? So let's just look at another example, another final example. So let's look at Miriam. So now we know Miriam is not in the list, right? So what is going to happen is that it's not going to execute this if statement because it is not true. It will not jump to this else statement and then print the name first, then append the names, append Miriam to the list, and then print the new list, right? So I'll come here and just say old list, right? So I'm doing all this formatting just to make you understand it, and come here and say new list, right? Come here and do this. So if I print this, you see what we have here. Old list, this is the old list before appending Miriam, and this is the new list before appending, after appending Miriam. You can see that Miriam has been added to the list, right? So this is just a very, very practical way of using our if else statement. So that is it for today. We've actually looked at some new concepts. So you can see that we're actually building on top of what we've learned before. So we learned about the variables, data types. We went to the operations in Python, looked at the arithmetic operations, comparison, logical, and everything. We looked at string formatting, right? You can now see that everything that we've looked at so far, we are now using them in a particular code, right? In this particular if statement. So in the next class, we're going to look at further concepts, more advanced concepts like for loops and while loops. So we're now going to see how we can now use even if statement with for loops, right? And after that, we're now even going to look at functions, and we'll now see how we can even use everything together in a function, basically. right? So that is exactly how we are going to be progressing. All right. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you actually got something out of this class, right? Because I enjoyed the class as well. So the video will definitely be made available after this, probably tonight or tomorrow morning. The class recording for yesterday's class is available already, so you can always go back to um can always go back to watch it, right? So the assignment, as I said before, will be graded, and you will steal your grades hopefully tomorrow. By tomorrow, you should see your grades, right? So you just use this week to do your assignment and also to practice all you've learned so far, because we are actually progressing a lot. We are moving to the third week of this program. Right? So we are actually making progress. So before you know it, we're already in the sixth week. We're already in machine learning. So you need to make sure that you are moving along with us, so you are not left behind. You understand? So that's going to be it for today. Now, as we always do, we're going to give rooms for question. We're going to give rooms for questions. So I won't be able to take so much question today. So probably 10 minutes or so. Right. So I'm going to take 5%. If you have any question, please just raise your hand. I'm going to take the first 5 persons. All right. So Israel, Abdullahi, Nicodemus, Adeboye, Aniche, and Malik. You are the ones that would be I'll be taking questions from you. So starting with Israel, please, Israel. I'm going to be unmuting you now so you can ask your question. Are you there? I thought you were raising your hands up. All right, so let's go to the next person, Abdullahi. All right, Israel, please. You can ask your question. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, sir, for this privilege. It's a lovely class indeed. We really enjoy it. Actually, towards the last part of the class, you've actually answered my question, so I don't think I need to stretch again. I wanted to ask some
All right,
question
all
in
right, all
conditional, but
right,
you've answered correctly.
all right. Thank you very much. All right, so we'll go to the next person. All right, so let's see who is on the list here. Okay, Abdullahi. Abdullahi, I'm going to be unmuting you now so you can ask your question. Um, Abdullahi, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Uh, Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. My question is on the structuring of the if-else statement.
All right.
Instead of using or breaking the line, is there any other form of using it in a single line? Like if so is dash, do this, else do that in a single line of a code to make the code very simple.
Um, okay. I get your question, but I don't see any reason why you might want to do that, because most of the time your if statement would be long, right? You can see what we are doing here. We are writing long conditions, and also these are actually simple ones, but when you start using them, you see that you are always using conditions that are actually lengthy, and also actions that are lengthy too. So there's actually what we refer to as ternary operations in Python. So it's a way to kind of make your if statement very compact, right? It's a different syntax of writing if statement, but that is not for you now. Like this is what you need to know at this point, right? So we are actually building it. So once you are done with this, then you can now just look at explore other methods. But this is the most basic way. This is the conventional way. This is the normal way of writing your if statement, right? So you don't write it in a one line. You don't write it in one line. You write it in code blocks, basically. You understand? So as you start writing code, you understand why we do that. So I think that should answer your question. All right. So, but actually, yes, there is actually a way to write it in one line, and it is called ternary operator. Ternary, you can search that up. Ternary, ternary, ternary operator. So you can just search it and look at how you can explore it, right? So in case you are curious about that, so let's move on to the next person. All right, we have Nicodemus here. All right, so Nicodemus. Okay, your hands is not up again. We have Adeboye. Adeboye Olaoluwa. All right, Adeboye, you can mute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, sir. And good
Yeah,
evening,
good
everyone.
evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for the class today. It was quite an interesting one. Well, I'll start with the else if statements. I think while I wouldn't know if it's a mistake while I was writing the code, but I think the since you say Python executes the code block by block,
Yeah.
so does if we write it on the same block, say for example, we write a code on the block and we don't move to the next block to write the next block, or we put too many arguments on a particular block, because it ends up giving me errors like syntax error or indentation error. So is it that I have to move the next code to the next block?
The thing is that it's difficult for me to understand exactly what your issue is. I think you should just take a screenshot and post it on the Q&A for better context, right? Because I believe
Okay.
it's probably a syntax error or something like that. But you
Mm,
just know that you write block by block. If you want these actions to be taken under this particular condition, you put it in that
mm,
particular block, right? If you want to move on to the next else or elif, you put everything. So
yeah.
you just have that organized in that format. So if you are having an
Okay.
error, please just send a screenshot to the Q&A and then we're going to sort that out.
Okay. I'll work on that. And two, sorry. And the next question is, it's not really a question. It's like I'm appealing that I'm added to the Google Classroom because it has affected me in the first week, and now we're in the second week now. If I'm not careful, I'm still gonna have the same problems because I can't access the Google Classroom. I've
You're not
posted my
you're not on the
email.
Google Classroom now.
Um, yes, I'm not. I even up to last night after my attendance, I still sent the email and I tagged you and Mr. Um, the other or course instructor. But yet I didn't receive any email
Please
to
send it
join the
directly to
class.
my
Can I click on that? It's
send it,
request for a code.
send it directly.
Now
Like
the issue if
you
I
said,
send it to your DM, if I send it to your DM, it tells me that message can only be delivered if the contact is mutual. I posted that same statement in the Q&A plan
Adeboye,
folder last night.
Adeboye,
Sir,
please send
I'm
it
with
to
you.
me. Send it to my DM now.
Okay,
Please send the
I will.
statements to my DM.
All right, I'll do that now. Thank you.
okay, all right, thank you. So the next person here is thank you, Mr. David, for that. The next person here is Aniche. Aniche, you were raising your hand before. Please, if you're raising your hand, you can just raise it again. I don't know why Telegram keeps dropping hands after questions. But yeah, so Nicodemus, please go ahead and speak. Yeah, I think you're on the list as well. You're on mute now, so just unmute yourself and ask your question. Nicodemus. Nicodemus, you are on mute. Please, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Your hands were up. Okay, let's just go over to the next person here. Malik. Malik, you are on mute now. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Hello,
good
can you hear me?
evening, Malik.
Yeah, thanks for the lecture. Super.
Your
Yeah,
voice is very low. I don't know.
okay. Okay.
Hear me now.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, perfect. Can I ask a question now?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I said I have a question. The question is, during you said under the conditional statement, you said the condition must be under the if. You said the condition must be met before it can give an output. Now,
Yeah.
under the if else, the question there is now, if the condition is met but else is not met, are we going to get an output?
There's no condition in else. I don't think you follow. There is no else doesn't have a condition. Else is executed only when the condition in if is not met. Do you understand? So then if you check else is just else followed by colon and then an action. So else does not have any condition at all. Do you understand?
Okay.
So
And then,
once the condition in the if statement is met, else will not be executed. But once the condition in if statement is not met, then else will be executed.
okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand that. And also,
All
I
right.
have an hello.
All right, go on.
Yeah, I have an issue with my system. Last week I
Your
was able.
voice is, I think, not very clear again.
Yes, I said I have an issue with my system. The thing there is I've done the installation, all the necessary thing. But last week I was unable to complete my assignment and get it submitted and turn it in. Because my system just developed a fault and the mouse was moving on its own, then it started hanging. Now the way forward now I want to ask before I can get my system done now is that can I make use of a paid cafe to just do my assignment, not to miss, since I'm attending the class, for me to be able to get my assignment done as well. I don't know if there is a way I
Yeah,
can do that.
yeah, sure. You can. Just even if you have something, you can just borrow your laptop. But the thing is just that you have to have Anaconda installed there, right? To do it. But you can um you can actually use Google Colab directly from the Google Classroom, right? So once you install Classroom on the person's laptop and you get the assignment and all, you can just click on it and it will open on Google Colab and everything, and you can do your assignment there. But that is actually an alternate way of doing it, right? But the normal way that we are doing in this program is using Jupyter Notebook. So if you can download an Anaconda on the person's system, then that is fine. You understand? So and just do your assignment. So it's left to you to decide on what is best for you, right? So,
Okay, thank you so much.
right, next person. Okay, let's take two more questions. Salifu, Salifu, please ask your question. Salifu Abu, unmute yourself, please, and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Emmanuel. My
Yeah,
question
good.
actually in the last class. I don't know if you can proceed.
All right. The questions are supposed to pertain to this class, but let's just go on in case
Okay.
of next time.
All right. Concerning the dictionary data type, from the last class, the examples we did, the value we assigned to the keys, we actually assigned one value to each key. So I want to ask, is it possible for us to assign multiple values to a particular key? Maybe, for example, the key is name. Can we assign, maybe we have like 4 to 5 names for each
Yeah,
key?
you can. You can,
Okay.
but you have to use a list for that. Do you understand?
Okay.
You'd have to use
Yeah.
a list. Let me just quickly demonstrate that.
Thank you.
So if you want to add multiple values to a dictionary, so you can come here. Okay, let's use the dictionary we've been using before. We used before. Let's say where's our dictionary? Okay, let's do this. So now we have name. Let's assume the dictionary you have like 10 people, or let's say five for the sake of time, five persons name that you want to add, or five-person information. So you can have name, and then instead of just a single string, you can have a list. So you come here and put lists, and then you put the second name there, right? So let's just pick names from here. Pick 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll come here and put it. So just say 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see what we have here. We have a list that is the value, and the key is what name. So the thing about this is that if a particular key has 5 values, the rest of the keys have to have the same number of values. That is just the thing here. They have to be consistent, right? If I run this, let's see. I'm supposed to have, because each of the name here should have a corresponding age. If Shegun should have an age, Ibrahim should have an age, and like that, like that. So your dictionary will make sense. Do you understand? So that is just how you do. So in this case, I can just come here and say 26, 34, 31, 32, 30. That is 5, right? So I have that. So in this country too, I would have similar thing happening. I'll have 5 countries here for each of these. So that is basically how you do it when you want to have multiple items in a dictionary. Right? Occupation, you have 5 occupations. State, you have 5 states. Right? So that is just how it is. In why doing multiple items for a dictionary? Do you understand? Is that clear?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
All right, all right. Okay, so I'm going to take the last person. That is Abba Ali. Abba Ali, please ask your question and then call it a day. Yeah, on mute now. You can unmute yourself, please. Ali, please.
Good day, sir.
Good day, Sir Ali.
I hope you are getting me fine. How are you? I'm very happy to listen.
I can hear you clearly. Your
I say,
voice is not very well.
do you hear me well?
All right, I can hear you now.
Yeah. My question: I cannot access to my Google class through my system since last week.
Have you been invited?
Yeah. Someone he sent me a mail last week.
Did
I cannot access to the class.
did you follow the link in the mail?
Yeah, I follow the link. Where I enter that in my system, they show me no class there, empty.
All right. So just send your email to Mr. David again. He's going to add you. Yeah, you just have to tell him the class you were added into before. So he's going to sort that out. All right.
Okay, Mr. David.
Yeah, our assistant tutor.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. So that's going to be it for today. So thank you very much everyone for your time and your patience and also your attention. So this was an interesting class and I believe you all were able to at least pick one or two from this class. Right. So I believe we are growing in our Python skill. At least now we can do some things in Python. Can now be confident in just writing simple Python code. So what remains for us now is to practice, 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 right? Practice your assignment to be given, so it will also be an avenue for you to practice. The videos will be made available so you can still go through it, and the parts that you didn't understand clearly, you can as well go through them. All right. So as we always do, just write out that particular thing or things that you learned from this class that you're able to pick from the class and just share it with us. I'm going through definitely and just reacting to every one of them. All right. So this is actually how we interact and how I know people that are also active in the class. All right. So thank you very much and have enjoyed the rest of your day.